I got to make sure I pause my chat room. Okay. And we are here, you guys, finally, live. This is the Paranormal Graveyard with your host, Roger Belt, and the lovely Christina Corsetti, who is not saying anything.
I'm here.
And we have Joe, and I'm going to say this, and I'll probably get it wrong. Vitale?
Vitale.
Vitale, very good. Well, I didn't get too bad wrong then.
No, nobody can get it right.
You
Okay. It's
Roger, right?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yes, everybody should be good. Anyway, this has been a time coming, and you and I have talked a little bit, and I want to. I always do this. I like to get everybody's how you got started thing. You know what I mean? What was it that said, "Hey Joe, you need to investigate this stuff"?
so actually I wanted nothing to do with it. I was sort of dragged into it. Grew up in a house that had some pretty bad stuff going on in it, so I was terrified of it. My mother's side of the family, my grandmother, she's very religious, and everything's demons, 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 demons. No ghosts, all demons, no ands, ifs, or buts about it. So while this is going on in our home, I'm terrified of it, scared to death of it. I wanted nothing to do with it. So I ended up hanging out with a buddy of mine at a local restaurant, you know, just being teenagers. And he was kind of poking fun at me about it. I mean, he wasn't being serious. He was just kind of joking around about it. Well, he gets up and he leaves, and there's this group of people behind me. And one guy gets up. Now, this guy is older than me. Now, at the time, I was like 14 years old or something. This guy gets up and he starts asking me questions. This guy's in his 20s. I'm like, who is this guy? What the hell does he want? Why is he asking me this? It was strange because nobody ever asked me anything like that before. And I kind of didn't want to talk about it. I told him a little bit. And then he said, well, I'll tell you what, you know, we're going to be going and investigating a few homes. If you want to come with us, you know, you're more than welcome to, and you can kind of talk about the experiences that you had, because they were really interested in some of the things my friend was kind of teasing me about the house. Turned it down, didn't want anything to do with it. About 2 weeks later, I believe, I ran into him again. And he kind of bugged me, and I said, all right, you know, whatever. I didn't think anything was going to happen. And the next thing I know, I get a phone call. Hey, this is Bill, man. You want to come with us? You know, you said you would. I'm like, man, I did. And that was that. 14 years old. I was in a group with people much older than me. I was the baby.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't talk about it, didn't tell any family or anything like that, especially with my grandmother, who's hardcore Christian. So kept that to myself for a while. And at that point in time, you really didn't talk about that kind of thing anyways. It was taboo. Now it's out in the open. Nobody really cares. So, yeah, I almost didn't want to do it. But just, I don't know, kind of dragged into it.
So when you went with them, did anything happen that flipped your switch?
Actually, I went with them the first time. Nothing happened. All I really did, well, I kind of just sat in the kitchen of this house. Everybody else was doing their thing. I sat in the kitchen, and I was just talking to the lead, Jeff, and a couple of other people as well. So everybody was really investigating, but nothing happened. And then I went again. Nothing happened. Still talking about some of the things that had happened within the house. And then just went from there. And it wasn't like I was trying to join the group. It just fell into place. That's how it happened. It probably took 5 or 6 investigations before something where I was like, whoa. And that, it did rattle me, especially when you live in a house that has some very nasty stuff going on, negative entities, whatever. And I hate throwing that word around. because the whole demon thing seems to be really popular and
Yeah.
seems to be the moneymaker and stuff like that. But anyhow, so yeah, it rattled me. I was nervous about it. The more I kept going with them, the more I seen, what was really going on. It started to change my mind, and that was that. Now, probably about a couple months later, it was funny. I guess you could kind of say at that point in time, I grew into my big boy paranormal pants, and we were in a home, and we were in a living room. And these people, they were older people, but they had like this really heavy chair. Those old like 80s big chairs. So we're standing there, we're talking. And the next thing I know, this chair like just comes scooting forward. It is scooted forward at me. I mean, it was still 5 or 6 feet away from me, but it scooted quite a few feet. And I'm just like, holy crap. And I just looked at it, and I'm like, is that it? Is that all you got? Like nonchalantly, just, acting like tough guy. I mean, I didn't mean to say it, but at that point in time, that was the only thing I could say. Well, the next thing I know, I hear laughing, and I turn and I look, and the group that I was with, they're in the doorway laughing. And I'm like, what? And they said, oh, yeah, look at you, tough guy. Is that all you got? And then they were like, yeah, don't do that again. Don't say that. That's provoking. So, but, I learned a lot. And it wasn't like they just threw me out there. I did a lot of, pretty much a babysat, watching things or setting things up, but I never really got to fully investigate for about a year and a half. And then all of a sudden, Joe, you're going to go with this guy, and this is where you guys are going to go, and that's just, what happened. So before I was off investigating, there was a lot of learning, and I really learned a lot and continue to learn a lot.
So when you were with it, and I'm assuming you do your own thing now, right? You have your own.
I'm independent. I do these things by myself. Right now, though, I'm in the process of working with Gavin Kelly and Paula Purcell. They're doing a TV show, an Amazon Prime exclusive show. Well, that's a mouthful.
Nice.
So I've been working with them. I've done some investigations with them, and I'm actually editing and putting together their episodes. So that's pretty cool. But I'll work with just about anybody.
You can't. A lot of people aren't willing to work with other people.
No, that's true, and a lot of it has to do with their own personal opinions or beliefs, things like that. But I'm always open to go off and work with other groups. I mean, there are the exceptions, like certain people that I will not work with. But other than that, if you want me to go on an investigation, let me know. If I can go, I'll go.
Right.
An investigation.
Well, I mean, there's always something you can learn. I don't care how much you think you know.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
each different team and people that you work with, you learn something.
Yeah, and
You're always learning something new.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's a good thing when you work with people, because there's tricks out there that I haven't even thought of. And I'm always willing to learn something new.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I'm gonna post this real quick. This link. I meant to post it earlier for the show, and I didn't.
Hello?
All right.
Hi.
Okay. So
No, can you come down?
okay. So I went to South Pittsburgh to Old South Pittsburgh Hospital for an event. Before that, this was a couple weeks ago. The day before that, I went with a group of people from Florida to Cal's Bar Dam, which was awesome. And I had actually met these people at an event called Code Red Part 2. Yeah, Code Red Part 2. That was another event at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. And they got a hold of me and said, hey, you want to come and investigate with us? I'm like, At first, I didn't know if I was going to be able to. And I'm like, you know what, screw it, I'm going. So I went. And, you know, I do learn from them. And hopefully they also can, you know, learn from me. But I like to sit back and watch people and observe how they do their investigations. And, you know, we all pretty much investigate the same. But yet there are questions that people ask where you're like, I never thought to ask that.
Right.
Joe, can I stop you right there for a second?
Yeah.
Roger, I have an emergency that I have to go to. Is there a way you can fly solo tonight?
That's fine. Yeah, we got this.
All right. All right. I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Anyway, sorry about that. We did an event. We was at an event at Old South back in August last year, the 26th, I think it was 26th or 27th. We did an event for COPD.
Yeah.
And I was there for that, fortunately. It's a great place.
It is.
And that was one of my bucket list places that I'd been wanting to go to anyway. So since I have COPD, I was invited to come up and be part of the event. So I went up there. And they're having another one, and they're having it in Ohio somewhere. I'm not exactly sure on the where and when yet. Although the when will probably still be around the same time. When you were with these people that you started out with, did you ever have a dude run moment like, you know, from the Ghost Hunter show?
I've had moments that have absolutely startled me. But run, I don't think I've ever run. Now I've watched people who haven't investigated. Like we invited somebody. He kept saying, "Oh, this stuff's fake. This stuff's fake." So we invited him, you know, to come with us. Now we're not expecting anything to happen. He was there. He went in. He was with an investigator, female investigator, Leanne. And I guess somehow they accidentally got split up. Well, we're all outside, and we hear this blood-curdling like scream. Like, what is she screaming about? Like 20 seconds later, here comes this guy, just boom, out the doors. He's like, I saw something. We're like, who was screaming? Oh, I did. We're like, wow, you sounded like a total girl. So a few minutes later, here comes Leanne. She's like, what was that about? You know, and he's like, oh, I saw something. We're like, what did you see? You saw a shadow person. And what it was he was in this room. There's only one way out. And whatever it was blocking his way. Now, we were thinking maybe either he was screwing around or we got scared enough. So we went back inside because he had dropped the video camera. But we went back inside, got the video camera, and didn't even look at the video. We didn't even care what he said. We just thought, you know, either he scared himself or he's messing with us. So about a week later, they went over the video footage, and sure enough, there was like an 8-foot-tall shadow person standing at the door.
Wow.
And at first, well, what happened was it passed the doorway. It caught his attention. And you could hear him say, whoa, wait, what? And he stops, and then, you know, he starts doing his own thing or whatever. Then it comes back, and it can't, you know, now it catches attention. It's there. And that's when you hear this blood-curdling scream. And he ran right through it. But before he had a chance to run right through it, he had already went away. So we were like, oh, wow. And then we kind of asked him about it. He's like, yeah, I don't know. And now he's kind of denying what he had seen. But we were just like, yeah, that. He knows he saw something. So we asked him if he wanted to join us again, and he refused.
Well, if you dropped my camera, I think I would be, you know, you better have saw something.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't damage the camera or anything like that, but, you know, I mean, he dropped it. He dropped it. I think before it hit the ground, he was out of that room. That's how fast I think he took off. So,
All right. I don't know why I'm echoing here.
But no, Old South Pittsburgh Hospital is special. That place is awesome. And not too far from there is Hell's Bar Dam. And, you know, if anybody wants to go and investigate that place, then I recommend that place too.
Well, we were going to go there actually when we left Old South, but at the time, they weren't opening it up to anybody.
Mm.
So the best we could have done was just took some pictures outside. You know, we thought, well, not really worth going down there for that, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
So, yeah, I went there, and I tell you what, I've always had people tell me, not everybody, but I've had a few people tell me in the paranormal field that they've seen doppelgangers. And it wasn't that I didn't believe them. It's just like, okay, cool. I've never experienced anything like that before.
Right.
So while we were there, me and this guy, Gary Fisher and I were headed into the tunnels. There's like a little building that you go into to get right into the tunnels. And, you know, Gary and I, we went in there. Gary was in front of me. There's a table kind of off to the side into the entrance to the tunnel. We walk over there to put our gear down, and I look up and I see Jeff, this guy. Walks behind Gary. Gary's seen him. He went down the tunnel, no big deal. We didn't think anything of it. Well, the rest of the group comes piling in. And one of the ladies is like, I hear somebody down that tunnel. And Gary's like, yeah, Jeff just went down there. She's like, there's nobody down there. We're like, yeah, Jeff just walked down there. And she's like, I didn't see anybody. And Gary's like, bullshit, Jeff just went down there. And here comes this other Jeff. Oh, I'm right here. We're like, no, not you, because there's two Jeffs. We're like, no, not you, the other Jeff. And like 3 seconds later, here comes the other Jeff. Oh, I'm right here. And me and Gary just looked at each other like, no way. Because I swear to God, we had seen Jeff. There was no way that he could get in and out of the tunnel in that amount of time. It's impossible. So we just kind of looked at each other. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I didn't notice the guy carrying a flashlight. Going down the tunnels, you want to use a flashlight unless you have infrared. But, you know, he didn't have a camera with him. So what I had seen was from about his chest up to about his chin was lit up like he was taking a flashlight, you know, kind of holding up to his chest.
right.
So Gary saw the same damn thing. And, like, I don't know. I still don't even believe I've seen it. I mean, we've seen it, we know what we saw, but it's baffling. I mean, it's crazy. So I'm looking forward to going back there. I'll be going back there at the end of April. And then in the summertime, we're going to film the TV show there. So we'll have an investigation there for the show as well. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I mean, you know, anybody wants to check out the dam, man, do it. It's unbelievable. You know, just a little heads up though, the sound, it bounces all over the place. So when you do EVP sessions, if you're with the group and you guys are split out, just make sure that you try to be quiet, because, you know, somebody can say something and then somebody kind of far away, they may be able to pick it up on their recorders, just
Right.
sound travels. So
I've got something. There's an echo. I don't know where it's coming from.
yeah, I don't hear an echo.
I don't hear it all the time, but I hear it like every now and then. It's like right behind me when I speak. And it sounds like a deadgum demonic voice going. Could you bring somebody over?
I ain't got nothing.
Anyway, so Hell's Bar Dam, Old South Pittsburgh. What would you say was the best place you've been to so far?
So let's see. Most of my investigations have been done at private residentials. It's here recently I started getting out there and doing, like, going to events and things like that. started investigating these other places. I have investigated let's see, Poasttown Elementary School. I've been there twice. The second time I went, I investigated alone. Waverly Hills, South Pittsburgh Hospital, the dam, St. Albans. That was pretty interesting. Oh,
That's what I want to go.
you better be in shape for St. Albans. Seriously. The way the place is designed, it's really weird. There's a lot of stairs, just for I don't know, here's some stairs, they go somewhere else, but you could take these stairs and it could take you to the same place, but it's walled off. It's very weird how the place was built. Just like on the first floor, on one side of the building there's a set of stairs, and on the other side of the building, first floor, there's another set of stairs. And it's like they both go downstairs, but they're all separate. It's really weird. It's just separated. A lot of narrow stairways, stuff like that. So, yeah, that place kicked my ass, to be honest with you. I did a lot of stair climbing. That place was cool. It wasn't very active when we went, but we couldn't investigate the entire place either. We were on time constraints. It was freezing. It was raining. Gavin and Paula, they did a radio interview with on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. So when the second time that they had went, which was my first time, we didn't have a whole lot of time to really investigate a lot. But Amber and I, we went off on our own. We investigated before everything was set up, just to try to, get some footage and things like that. So, but man, I tell you, it's like a tie between Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, the dam, and Poasttown Elementary School. I had an awesome experience at all of those places, and it's just if anything, I would say Hell's Bar Dam, just simply because of the fact that we saw a doppelganger, and it is never reported as far as we know. And if that's the case, then Gary and I are the first to ever encounter and report that. And unfortunately, I didn't have my video camera rolling.
Ain't that you how it goes?
Yeah, I know. And we talk about, I have our reaction to it. I have our reaction immediately after, and then a while later to what we had seen. And I had said, man, I wish I had my video camera going, but if I did, would that have happened? And then, Gary had said, do you think they know when we're recording and when we're not? Do you think they know? And it's like, hey, we'll give you a show, but you're not gonna catch us on film, to show us, to show everybody.
Right.
So, it was an experience, and I had even said, I said, nobody's gonna believe this, and I don't care. If they don't believe what we had seen, it doesn't matter to me. I know what we've seen, and it was awesome. I mean, it was awesome, baffling. I still can't believe it. Will I ever see something like that again? I don't know. But that place is it's special.
What did you think about Waverly Hills?
So I went. It was actually an event. I didn't get anything. From time to time, I would smell sulfur. From time to time, there were times where I got creeped out just a little bit. It may have something to do with the area that we were in. I'm not sure. But I don't know. Nothing happened. There was probably too many people in that building anyways, because there was 40 people in there. But ours, I believe, was the smallest group. When I went, using my digital recorder, I could hear people because I had the headphones in my ears plugged into my digital recorder. And I can hear people clear across the other side of the building on another floor.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shadow play. When you think you see a shadow, it's actually something something outside, a car passing by or whatever. In Waverly Hills, though, the first floor and the fifth floor, they're both completely different. But the rest of the floors in between, they're all the same. And there were a couple of times where, we go to a different floor. I'm like, wait a minute, weren't we on this floor already? It was really weird. I mean, just confusing as to what floor you're on. If you lose track of time. I mean, when I go to my doctor's office and I'll get lost. I mean, that's just how I am with hospitals. But Waverly Hills, it's just a long building. And it's just like one big long hallway with rooms on both sides of the hallway. And the sound there, it travels really bad. The death tunnel. My Lord, if somebody just takes just a pebble and throws it, it's going to sound loud and it's just going to echo. So I just think there was just too many people there at that night, at that particular time. Like I said, some people said that they had experienced stuff, they got stuff. I didn't catch anything.
Sat middle ways of the death tunnel, and me and another dude, and you couldn't see 3 foot in front of you. And we were taking pictures, and even with the flash, you only got maybe, if you were lucky, 5 or 6 foot light,
Yep.
And we were sitting there taking pictures and stuff, and I had a recorder running next to me on the step. And I kid you not, heel-to-toe footsteps started coming up from the bottom, and you could hear it plain as the nose on your face. And my recorder did not pick it up.
Now,
I was mad.
yeah, now down the end of the tunnel, what they did, it's sort of closed up, but they have, when we went, there was plastic covering the opening, and there was some kind of iron gate at the end of it. So a lot of times people say, oh, I hear somebody walking. I have to wonder, because the way the sound travels, if somebody's walking really close to the tunnel, if they're hearing somebody outside, or if they're hearing an animal outside. I made the mistake of going all the way down that tunnel. Well, let me tell you, 300 feet may not seem that far. Going down's fine. Coming back up 300 feet, oh, man. I was done for a week. I was sore after that. I'm like, oh, man, I got to, go to the gym or something. And a lot of other people who went down there, they're like, yeah, dude, I go to the gym, and, yeah, that kicked my butt, too. But, the death tunnel, it's dark.
Those were footsteps, and you could distinguish that they were coming up from the bottom. And I told my buddy, I said, "You hear that?" And like I said, I had a recorder running, and he tries to tell me that was the concrete settling. And I said, "Well, dude, I've never heard concrete settle heel to toe before." Just saying,
Well, I mean, just like I had coughed, I think, while I was down there, and you could hear the echo for 5 or 6 seconds. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's really weird. I've never been in a place where it echoed like that. And when you see the death tunnel on TV, it looks bigger. But when you're here, it's not as wide as you think. Not at all. It's pretty narrow.
Actually, it's only about maybe 6 foot wide or so. Give or take, somewhere around there. It's not real wide. It only has the little cargo chute on one side, that they run the cargo up and down.
Yeah, the track. Yeah.
And then another little area about that wide with steps, So it's not very big at all.
No, it's not. I was surprised. Now, Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. You've been there? You said, correct? Yeah.
Yep.
The fake chapel. You've been down there?
I think I was pretty much just about everywhere at one time. The way they did things, it was it's hard to explain. Anyway, some of us, just struck off on our own, and we went to the area where we went in the basement. We did, as a matter of fact, I got sick down there and wound up in the hospital. But
which the
in the basement where the caretaker's room was, where he had all his tools, where he worked at.
Okay, yeah, that would be James's room.
And, you know, there's the little room in the back with the doors.
Yeah.
And I didn't go in there, but I did shine a light up in there, and there was black mold in there and everything. And I wound up in the hospital after I left there. But I did. They had the old rotary phone sitting on that table, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I was messing with the dude. I was trying to get him to talk to me, right? You know, and I said, well, I'm just going to call your boss and tell him you're not doing your job. So I picked up the rotary phone, you know, and I act like I dialed a number and everything. I said, yeah, we got a guy down here who's supposed to be a caretaker. He's not doing his job and all that stuff. I was trying to get him to say something.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, I never got anything from that. But but I was down there, and then we were on the floor, and I think it was the third floor, where the where they have the babies at.
Yeah.
And we sat in there and we did some EVP in there and didn't really get much of anything really out of there. And we went all the way to the end. On the left, there's a room there, and it's funky how it's set up. It's got like a wooden thing that goes across there, and it's almost like just like a big old day bed that goes wall to wall.
Mm-hmm.
And we were sitting on that, of course, and then one of the guys come up there, you ain't supposed to be in here, you know. We're like, well, why not? You know, we came up here to investigate this thing. But anyway, he left. We stayed there a little bit longer, and then we went back downstairs. And fortunately, there were rooms that still had air conditioning, which I had one of.
Yeah.
So we kind of all just took a break in there. And I did have one picture that I took that I couldn't quite understand. I wasn't sure what it was I was seeing. But and I think it was on the third floor too. Where the one of the doorways that you go through, something was peeping around the doorway, and I had to look at it 3 times. I said, "Man, there's something peeping around this doorway down there." You know, we didn't see anything. You know, I mean, with the naked eye, of course. But I took all these pictures on my phone, and I was looking back through there and everything. You know, and I'm like, "What the heck is that?" But I mean, you can see it plain as day. And there was a chair sitting in the hallway, and somebody swore down that the chair moved, but I didn't see that. Now, Waverly Hills, though, on the 5th floor up there, room 502 is where supposedly they aborted this nurse's baby, right?
Yeah.
And she's supposed to have hung herself right outside of there. And I stood there and I said, if the nurse is here that hung herself, would you please acknowledge? Or something to that effect. And I did get an EVP back from that. It said, help me walk. It sounded like an older lady.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, that validates the fact that they removed ribs and they did all this stuff that they did trying to relieve, you know, the lungs.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, you know, I wasn't expecting that one. And then there was another part where we were standing, and we were on I think we were on the 4th floor at the time. And right there at the top where you start down the stairs, I was looking down through there to the bottom. And there was no sound. You didn't hear anything. And when I played that back, you hear something metal drop all the way down through there, hitting the rails, going all the way down to the bottom. And I have no clue what that was because we didn't hear a thing.
Yeah. Like I said, Waverly Hills didn't get anything. It was cool. I'm glad I went. I would like to go back, but with a much smaller group of people. So I'm hoping maybe this year I could go back there. But if not, that's all right, because I'm going to be pretty busy this year. Like I said, we got that TV show, The Paranormal Journey into the Unknown, that we're currently working on. We've got the first 2 seasons of that are done. I'm working on the 3rd season. Now, I'm just a special guest investigator, but I'm also, like I said, putting it together and getting it edited so it can be shown to the world, I guess. But there are other places too that I will be going to. Some that I'm really excited about. But Old South, like you said, the what they call the fake chapel. Now that's the room with all the church pews in it.
Yeah.
What did you think about that room?
Kind of gave me the creeps, if you want to know the truth. You think automatically when you go into a chapel that there's supposed to be all this peace and love and light, not necessarily in that room. No. Kind of the opposite, kind of gave you the feeling that there was something in there that didn't want you there.
Yeah. So when I went just a couple weeks ago, it was that time of the night where it was what they would call the free-for-all for this event. So a bunch of us went down there and hung out. We really didn't investigate too much. We were just down there. We were sitting there. We were having fun. We were joking and things like that. But we heard this sound. Some described it as a sigh, things like that. When I went home to listen, it wasn't a sigh. It was either a hiss or a growl. I believe it was, what was it? I think the first time it happened, we all heard it. We're just like, whoa, what was that? And then there was another time where this thing was next to me. And you can hear it plain as day on my digital recorder. And it was like a hiss or a growl. And that was unnerving. I didn't get up, run out, or anything like that, but I was just kind of like, whoa, like, wow, that was right there in my face. And a lot of people do report, that they don't like being down there. They're scared of that room. A lot of people will not go there. So I have to wonder what's going on there. It makes me really wonder, especially after getting the EVPs that I got down there. But that place is, that place is just amazing. And that'll end up being a really, I believe, a really cool episode when it airs. Now, you haven't been to Post Town Elementary School, I'm sure. No, it's cool. It's another special place. So I investigated by myself. And at one point in the night, and this was the highlight of the night too, I went into the break room to cool off. It was hot. And I started to hear water, but it sounded like rain. And I looked outside of the break room. I'm like, I don't see anything. Looked at the windows, didn't see anything. I thought maybe a water line or something like that was leaking. Didn't see it. So I go out of the break room and I head towards the front of the building. And at the front of the building, there's stairs, right as you walk into the front doors. I grab my video camera, start recording. I look outside again to make sure it's not raining. I realize it sounded like it was just a downpour, but it was coming from upstairs. I went upstairs to go check it out, and at that point in time, it was pretty loud. And I caught this on video, and then all of a sudden, it just kind of died down, like rain would just die down. And I thought, well, maybe it was the train, but I never heard the train come through there like that. And no sooner than I thought that, here comes the train. You can hear the horn, and then just burling down the tracks. So I got a hold of Daryl. I let Daryl hear it, and he, I wanted him to, just to make sure, nothing busted, no pipes or anything like that. He said he's never heard anything like that. And I mean, I was just like, wow, I can't believe that happened. And I got that on video. So that place is really special too. If anybody wants, is in Ohio or whatever, go check that place out. It's awesome. And Daryl, he's a really nice guy. He sort of looks intimidating, but he's a teddy bear. Just don't piss him off. So.
Somebody was saying they wanted to hear more about the doppelganger.
There's really, I mean, to be honest with you, there's really not much more to say. I mean, what I had seen. Now, I did not notice any, like, from the knees up is what I see, and I did not see the front of the face. I only saw half of it. So it was like I just seen somebody from the side. Didn't see no legs. Well, excuse me. I saw from the knees up, and it appeared that the hands were in the jacket, but yet there was some sort of light, like I said, somebody taking the flashlight and just holding it up to their chest. And I mean, it just went just nonchalantly, like no big deal.
Did it look like the Jeff guy that you were talking about?
Yeah, that's who we honestly thought it was. Had the hat, had the coat, had the pants. The only thing that I did not see was, it's lower legs. And I never thought anything of it, because all I did was, I had my video camera. I'm looking down. I see somebody coming, peripheral vision. I look up and I watched him. And I watched him go past Gary. And I mean, that's what happened. I mean, I watched it. Gary had seen the same thing too, except it went behind Gary. So I don't know. I never did get to see, the front of his face. I only got to see, just the side. But the next night when we went to Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, that Jeff was with us in that group. And Gary kept saying, poke him, make sure he's real. So for the whole night, we did nothing but you. Just making sure. And like I said, that's never been reported there as far as we know. So, I don't know, maybe somebody will see that and they'll say something and I'll find out about it. And then, that helps validate. Well, like I said, it was two people, myself and Gary, who's seen it.
So what?
Go ahead.
Every time I talk, I hear that. Sounds like a dadgum demon growling or something. Anyway, so what are the claims at the Hellsbar Dams? That anything, really interesting or?
Okay, so let's see. It claims of shadow people, voices, things banging around. Supposedly, I don't know if it's true. Somebody was attacked there. Apparently, you could hear children in there because there's a grave underwater in that location.
There's a what?
There's a grave site underwater in that location where the dam sits on and the water flows. There's a grave site. And it's within that area. I don't know how close it is to the dam. There were kids buried there.
Wow.
And TVA flooded that area out. It was also a lot of
I'm assuming that they exhumed the graves before they flooded it out.
I have no idea, to be honest. I really don't know. Now, with
but then again, I doubt it.
I don't know. Now, Paula, she's with the show. She does a lot of research, and that girl, holy cow, man, her research is unreal. Like, I'm working on an episode, and she's sending me all this stuff. I'm like, whoa, wait, how can I put all this in here? How can I make this work? I mean, she's a research bug. Geez, I've never seen anything like it. I'm willing to bet when she goes to research that place, she's going to find out a lot of stuff and probably answer a lot of questions too. But I guess that in that area had a lot of Cherokee Indians as well there. So there's just a lot of history. I mean, just across the water over there, apparently there was a Bigfoot sighting. So, yeah, I mean, there's just, it seems like there's a lot of things that have happened over there. A lot of really weird stuff going on there, too. But one of the stories is that these two men, when the dam was being built, there was a guy who apparently fell into concrete. They were building a wall, and it was still, the concrete was still liquid. And I guess he fell into that, and somebody else tried to get him out of there, and he ended up going in with them. And the rumor is that they're still
In the concrete.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that or not. You never know, but to me, it's like if that actually happened, I don't think their family would allow that, their bodies to be encased in that.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, it's being made up or somebody's lying about it. It's just, you hear these stories, you don't know what's true, and it just takes research to really find out.
Well,
But-
now that's where the bosses in power be like, well, they just left the job. I ain't seen them since. Don't know what happened to them.
Yeah, yeah, well, you never know. I mean, back in those days, though, there really wasn't much worker rights at all. I mean,
Right.
you were a paid slave pretty much. I mean, it didn't matter if it was dangerous or what the case may be. You did what you had to do, no questions asked. But there's a claim that there's a woman who plays with people's like EMF detectors and their K2s and things like that. When I went early, I went in. I wasn't investigating. I just wanted to get B-roll for the TV show or for the net. Jeez, oh, Pete, Joe. Try that again. The Amazon Prime show. And I heard somebody say, "Help me." There's nobody in there. Then I thought at the time it was a woman saying something. Come to find out, going back and listening, and this is on my YouTube channel, although what we're using right now is a secondary channel that was once upon a time my son's, but I renamed it. But my YouTube channel is Truth Paranormal. Anyhow, I have what sounds like music, it's warped. It almost sounds like it's being played on a warped album. And I got a few other random things here and there when I first went in to do B-roll. So it was pretty cool. I honestly can't say enough about the dam. And, we're hoping as time goes on, more and more people will go out there and check it out. It's, like I said, I don't know what more to say about the doppelganger either. I know what I saw, and I don't want to keep it like explaining it because I don't want to exaggerate it, or I don't want to mess, with the memory of that and remember things that actually wasn't a part of that. So, yeah, I mean, it was awesome.
So tell us a little bit about this show that you're doing.
Okay. So the show is The Paranormal Journey into the Unknown. And what it is it's actually Gavin Kelly and Paula Purcell. They go off to these locations and investigate. Now, these locations are like historical locations, old hospitals, jails, things like that. It's like your typical paranormal TV show, but how can I explain it? It's different. There's more of a historical background to the show. There's going to be shows where they're going to be different than like a previous episode or whatever. They don't have, they're doing this on their own. They don't have a huge production crew or anybody like that following them around. They're doing this on their own. And that's a challenge. Believe me, I've seen the stuff that Gavin has. I mean, I've investigated with them. They pull up and they got a trailer full of stuff. I'm like, holy crap. You know, and then it's, you know, you see all the gear he has. I'm like, dude, you're like the freaking CIA of the paranormal. I've never seen this much stuff before in my life. I'm like, I travel light. I bring my 4K video camera with me, my digital recorder, and my phone. That's it. That's all I bring. Sometimes I'll bring the Ovilus 5, but I don't use that very often. But you know, so like I said, they do a lot in depth with history and things like that. And, you know, the show may be different than, like I said, previous shows, just because of the way it was filmed or whatever. But yeah, it's an exclusive show. It's going to be out Halloween this year on Amazon Prime, and it's been a lot of work. That's for sure. I am working on the St. Albans episode right now, and total size of all the videos and stuff like that I have, total size is over 3 gigs in video file, audio file, pictures. I mean, it's massive. It's just a massive amount of footage, and I have to take all that stuff and condense it into 1 hour. You know, we got, if there's people to interview or talk history, you know, there's about 10 to 15 minutes of that. Then it goes into the investigation. And, you know, now we got to leave time, depending on how much evidence was caught. Now we got to leave a certain amount of time open for the evidence review and show people this is what we caught. You know, and I think people will like St. Albans. Jeez. English is hard for me today. There was some interesting stuff that had happened, and this episode is actually 2 visits combined. They went, I believe, in 2015 the first time. They got some cool stuff, and then just this year, they went back. I went with them. My girlfriend Amber went with us. And I took them and I just combined them both together, just so that, you know, the episode's got, you know, a lot of stuff going on and it has a good flow. Because the second visit we went, you know, we had a lot going against us, and that was when Gavin and Paula, they went on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. So it was hard to investigate and then have to take care of other things that were going on as well. You know, so let's see. They got some of the locations. Let me look here because I can't remember. I got season 1 with me here. Now, let me see. Let me open that up. I gotta move this so I can see. So they got the Civil War museum that they did, of course, St. Albans, the U.S. Marine Hospital, which unfortunately I guess is being torn down. Let me fix that. The USS Lexington. I mean, they've been to quite a few places, and you know, season 1 and season 2 have already been shot. I've got to edit those and get them out there for a product. And currently doing season 3. So, you know, I can't wait to get this over with. It's been a lot of work. It really has.
So have you guys done any of the old mine shafts and stuff like that?
I don't know if they have. I haven't personally. I will tell you that we will be going to the Hinsdale house. That'll be a season 3 thing. That is going to be interesting. Where else? You know, we're going to be going to other places as well too. The Hinsdale house. I know we're going to the Dam to Film, and there's a few other places. I don't want to give away too much, but you know, the show. You know, the show's trying to be different than all the other shows. We're not trying to be over the top. We're not having the dude run stuff. You know, things like that. We're not yelling, "Oh, look, I caught an orb." You know, nothing like that. So
He said it. He said the magic word.
Yeah. So, and look, I know there's this whole thing, about orbs. And this is the truth. This is coming from a guy who works with a lot of video and photos as well. When something really small is out of focus and you hit it with a light, what's going to happen is it's going to look much bigger than what it really is. You could take, if you have a DSLR camera, and you take it outside, make it go on focus and point it at a street light from really far away. Look how big and bright that street light gets. Even though it could be like 500 feet away from you, it could look gigantic. There's a lot of stuff, to photography that people don't know about it. It's kind of funny because people are like,
I
oh,
got a question for you in the chat room there. Aaron wants to know if you heard what sounded like compressed air being released while in the turbine room.
He's probably referring to the.
I'm sure he's referring to the dam.
Yeah. No. The most active areas for us that particular night was the tunnel, and it's the second building. You got to go through the tunnels to get to the second building. Those were the two locations where I had caught the most of, seen the doppelganger and seen a shadow person. That actually made me jump. Got that on video too. I had my camera swung the opposite direction of where I was looking. I had turned my head. When I turned my head, I had a flashlight in my hand too, and I was looking because there's a wall. There's like a partition in the tunnel, and one of the walls is like a square cutout. You can kind of just pop your head through, and you can look at this, other kind of hall area. So I did that. I looked to the right, didn't see anything. Looked to the left, had my camera pointed to the left. I swung right, and when I swung right, my flashlight hit a shadow person. I'm like, and I jumped. I'm like, oh, holy shit! And I'm like, I turned my camera as quick as I could, but it was gone. I mean, I didn't expect it. So
You got it on film?
no, you got my reaction though. Now I could at Old South Pittsburgh. Maybe, I'm not sure. I'm not completely convinced. I may have actually caught a shadow person in the, I believe, the surgical room on the third floor. We had, Gary and we kind of straggled behind a little bit, and we heard this tapping sound, almost like somebody threw a rock at one of the doors that lead into a stairwell. Excuse me. So that got our attention. We checked it out. And I was standing in the intersections of the hallway, and I swung my camera around. I didn't notice anything with my own eyes at the time. When on video, there's this really dark, it appears to be a dark mass that just took off to the right. And it was in another room down this short hall. I don't know what it was. Everything that I did video-wise, try to brighten it up and things like that. I mean, it honestly does look like there's something there. When I went back the second time to film for the show, I tried to recreate that, and I sort of got it, I think. Went back a third time, tried it again, sort of got the same. It wasn't the same. A lot of times what happens is video cameras, when you have an IR light and you're moving really fast, sometimes it takes a couple of seconds for the IR light or even the video camera itself to detect the light, or for that light to get down to a certain distance. So I don't know if that played a role in it or not, but when you look at it, the room itself, you can see the room with the IR camera. But there's something dark just within the doorway of that room. Like I said, something dark, but next to it you could see inside the room, and then it just looks like it darts off real quick. I don't know, I'm not sure. I don't want to call it paranormal. It just makes me want to go back there and just keep trying to figure out what it was. But, just, there's a lot of things, and this may make people mad. And I try to be very honest about the whole paranormal thing too. And people either love me for it or they hate me for it. We run around here and a lot of groups are like, oh, we use, scientific tools and methods and such. It's junk science. An EMF detector, for example, there are thousands of things that can set one of those off. EMF is natural. It just, it's there. It's always around us. Of course, you can set an EMF detector down. And it may not go off for hours, but at some point during the day, you're gonna get a hit. K2 meters, same thing. They're sensitive. You get really close with one of your pieces of equipment, it'll go off. You gotta remember, EMF does travel. One of the things that I had found out is I actually have a drone. And when I go to fly my drone, it lets me know if there's a high level of EMF. What it does is within 1,500 feet, if it detects EMF, it will not let me fly. It won't let me go in the air because EMF will mess with the compass and GPS system on the drone. Now, the EMF detectors used in the paranormal, they're not short distant. You could get a hit in a room, but it doesn't mean that hit's really close to the EMF detector. Something else that could be 500 feet away, maybe even more, is sending an EMF signal or a hit to the EMF detector. An airplane can set an EMF detector or K2 meter off. There's a lot of things that we have to think about first before we jump to the conclusion that the reason why a K2 or an EMF detector give us a reading was paranormal. Of course, everybody knows Wi-Fi can set those things off. Satellite dishes, they can set them off. I mean, you name it, and it pretty much, you can get a reading from it.
Those the K2s and stuff like that, I pretty much had to get an instant reply. You know what I mean? Before I will consider it anything outside of natural causes, because
let's also
a lot of things will set that stuff off.
So let's also think about this. There's a lot of people out there who say, well, I got an EMF hit, and at the same time, I got an EVP. Okay. Now, those people will also set their digital recorders relatively close to their EMF detector. If they got an EVP, that means the microphone itself, there's a lot going on with digital recorders, and not enough time here to actually go into the science behind it. But anyways, what essentially happened was the microphone picked something up, and for whatever reason, set the EMF detector off. Now, that's not always the case, though. I can't sit here and tell you just because that went off doesn't mean it's paranormal, but don't write it off, because if you do ask a question, you do get a hit. That hit's probably telling you got an EVP. And I'm not saying never use EMF detectors or any kind of paranormal equipment. I'm not saying that. Use them. Use them wisely, use them smart, because most of the time they're getting false positives. And this has been proven many times, time and time and time again, what sets these things off. So
we just had somebody mentioned in chat about cell phones setting the K2 off, and they will.
Yeah, oh yeah, that happened to me. It's in a video.
Everybody has a cell phone on them usually when they're out.
Even when you even if your cell phone, even if it's turned off or in airplane mode or whatever it is you put it in, it's still going to set your equipment off. I've watched people use it's called the Periscope 360, and they said the only way it works is if there's static electricity close to it. And what it is I don't know if you've seen this or not. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, what it is a circular device with a bunch of plastic, what is it? Like these brown piece of plastic sticking out, all like it looks like a spike almost, okay? And they light up in different colors. And what happens is if it detects static electricity, it'll light up in a certain spot. So it'll kind of tell you where the static electricity is coming from. And, you know, a lot of people swear by it and things like that, which is cool. And it is a cool thing. And I like the idea behind it. Problem is that, again, static electricity doesn't matter the weather. It doesn't matter anything like that. Static electricity is all around. Our cell phones, headphones, I mean, everything that we have, you know, can create static electricity. And you really have to go in and, you know, just go to Google and say, you know, hey, how is static electricity made? And it will tell you. And it's like pretty much anything and everything that is made, like man-made especially, it's going to create static electricity. So now, when I watch people who swear by, you know, this particular device, and it's a cool device, it really is, and, you know, I'm just like, wait a minute, would you understand the science? Like, you're going to tell me that you use science in paranormal, but you don't understand science. You understand why this device works, but you're not understanding the flip side as to what may be causing this, you know. So I kind of, you know, I don't, not to like sound like a jerk or anything like that, but it's like, you know, guys, come on. If you're going to do this, learn the science behind your gear and learn why. Like if it detects static electricity, find out what causes this stuff. Find out, you know, if the device itself, you know, probably, you know, sets up its own static electricity. It's not like people think static electricity and they think, you know, like taking two balloons and rubbing them together, rubbing on you and creating, you know, the little static thing. No, it's all around. That's what lightning is. Lightning is like the most powerful static electricity there is. So, you know, there's a lot of things that we have to, you know, that people have to learn. And I'm not saying I know it all, but what I'm saying is that one of the reasons why scientists look at us like we're idiots is because people don't understand the fundamentals of science. Like, they don't, this is like elementary school stuff, like things that you would learn in elementary school. So when somebody says we use scientific stuff, I'm like, yeah, junk science. And of course they get mad, but I'm also, you know, called, and I'm sure you've probably seen this on my Facebook, but I'm pretty much called, you know, the biggest a-hole in the paranormal anyways. And I don't mean to, I just come across that way. But, you know, there's a lot to it. Same thing with digital recorders. You know, digital recorders can pick things up from far away. If I could set my digital recorder down right now in complete silence, I guarantee you I'm going to be able to hear something from almost a mile away. Great examples, St. Albans. We're in the bowling alley. It's in the lowest part of the building. Nobody can hear, none of us heard traffic. You couldn't hear traffic the first time they were there. You couldn't hear traffic the second time we were there. But when I go back and I listen with my digital recorder, it's busy around that town. I mean, there's nonstop traffic all day, all night. And I was able to hear that with my digital recorder. So a lot of sounds, you know, people say, oh, I got this EVP. And, you know, it's a person. It may not actually be an EVP. It could very well be somebody, you know, somewhat far away saying something or talking, but you only caught, you know, a word or maybe a couple of words. So there's a lot of things, you know, that happen. And look, you know, I've learned I've had to learn this. I mean, it's not like, I went into this like, oh yeah, I know all this stuff. No, I had to learn. I learned the hard way, you know. But I want people to understand too that there's a lot more to think about. There's a lot more to being a paranormal investigator than just going in there with your equipment and recording things and asking questions. There's a lot more that we have to understand, and that is definitely gear has become a big issue, and it's also become a new revenue as well. The gear that people are making, it's becoming a good source of an income, which is cool. Guys, make that gear, sell that gear, buy it, because I do believe that spirits can manipulate our devices. But at the same time, take it with a grain of salt. I'm saying this, and I own a Novelist 5, and I know how that thing works. I was a bit surprised by how it worked, but now I figured out how that thing worked, and I don't think I'll ever use that again in an investigation.
So explain that. What
Okay.
what are you talking about?
The Novelist 5. You know what the Novelist is?
Yeah.
Okay. So, the Novelist.
Spits out random words, basically.
Okay, yeah. So, anyhow, what happens is, I got a video, sort of a video on this too. The Novelist 5 actually has MP3 files with the words on there. So, when, like the word shovel pops up and it says shovel, that's an MP3 file, okay? Now, what I wanted to do was reprogram this thing. And then I realized the way it was set up is that there are a lot of words that are prioritized within the Novelist. Demon, malevolent, murder, axe, and a lot of other words are on a very high priority. So the higher your EMF reading is, the more likely you're going to get something sort of negative, like demon, for example. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to do something funny with my Novelist. And I wanted to take out all those MP3 files and put my own stuff in there. And just to be funny, just like one-liners from movies or just a funny word or whatever. Come to find out that the memory card, it comes with a little card, okay? On that card is where the MP3s are stored at. You get rid of that stuff and you try to replace it, it doesn't work. You pull the card out, the Novelist does not work, it's a brick. So between the card and the guts inside the Novelist, the two work together. So when a certain amount of EMF is triggered, it says, okay, I got this much EMF. I need to get, I need to say this. Now the words are tight. The words that come out on the screen, not what's being said, not the voices, but the words themselves that pop up on the screen, the spelling, those are embedded inside the guts of the Novelist 5. That triggers when it. So it's sort of like you're looking for a name of a song on an MP3 player. You look for the name of the song, you hit play, bam, there's the song you want. Okay, so it's sort of like that, except it almost randomly selects the file, the music file, as I would call it, for the Novelist 5 to play. So it's a $335 toy, or $230. I don't remember how much it was, but it's a toy. And it's only triggered based on a certain amount of EMF. And EMF is everywhere. Now, saying that, it still can be a useful tool. Because, I do believe that our things can be, things can be manipulated by ghost spirits, whatever you want to call them. But for the most part, take it with a grain of salt. If I ask a question and it tells me, and it gives me an answer that really doesn't have anything to do with what I asked, I don't care. it means nothing to me. If I ask and something comes out of it that is specific, then then I'm like, okay, maybe. But then you just keep asking and try to hopefully make sure that your device is being manipulated by some sort of spirit. So guys, just take the equipment with a grain of salt. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying don't buy it. I'm not saying people who are making the equipment are ripping anybody off. But just take that stuff with a grain of salt. Because we really don't know. We really don't know exactly how everything works. But I know the Ovilus, like I said, it's like an MP3 player. But it's just using EMF to trigger, what song files or MP3 files to play. There's a lot of things that we have to, we got to learn and understand. And we keep, there's just more and more of this gear coming out. We're being flooded with all this gear, but yet we don't really question, specifically why it works, why does it go off, and most people jump to the conclusion that it's paranormal, and that's wrong. We can't do that. And then you got these scientists who are like, look at these guys, morons. They don't realize, because a lot of these guys, a lot of really smart guys, there are scientists out there that do study and they do investigate the paranormal. They really do. And these guys don't use any of that stuff. They don't use none of it at all. They go in there with like their digital recorders, a video camera, and maybe something that they designed specifically for something. They're not running off and buying the Ovilus 5 or EMF detectors or any of that stuff. They're going in there with their own little thing, with their own little circle, and studying. I read a lot.
Is the DVR system.
What's that?
I said the most complicated piece of equipment we have is a DVR system.
Man, those things are a pain in the butt to set up. Try set one up by yourself one time, an 8-channel DVR system. That'll make you never want to use one again. I did that at Post Town. I was like, yeah, I'll be able to set this up no time flat. Man, it took me way too long to get that thing set up.
Well, you got to think about this. When you're setting up a camera, and you may be down a hall pretty good ways off, right? You're setting up a camera. Well, then you got to go back, look at your monitor, see if the camera's right. And if it ain't, you go back down there, you move it a little bit. You go back, look at the monitor, you go back, move it a little bit.
Well, see,
after you do that with all those cameras and everything, you're too tired to walk around and investigate.
Well, see, when I went to Post Town to investigate alone, the DVR system was brand new. So I set it up. The wires weren't even undone. Okay, so I'm like, all right, I know where I'm going. I know where I'm placing everything. Let's do this, right? So I get the camera out, get what I need for that, and then I pull the wires, whatever the heck they're called. Anyways, they got a special name for them. Anyways, so I got this bundle of wires, and I'm like, yeah, undid the ties and things like that. And I'm thinking I'm just going to be able to unwind it, right? No big deal. Just easy as that, right? No. The way they wind these things is insane. I mean, it took me like a half hour to unwind like a 60-foot long cable. I'm like, I can't believe this. Oh man, it took way too long. I'm like, I'm sending this back. I am not doing this again. I am not setting one up like that again by myself. No way.
We got smart. We got us some spools that we have all our cable around, and you can hook it up to the DVR, and then you just roll it out.
Yeah.
When you get to the end, it's got spacers in it where they're all connected. You just take the spacer out, you hook the camera up there. You go back, hook your next set up, and you roll it out wherever you're going. And the only problem is that you can do that by yourself, but still you're going to have that same deal where getting that camera focused just right, you got to go all the way back and look at that monitor and make sure that it's where it needs to be,
Yeah, see, I don't know. The way they wind the cords for those things, it doesn't make sense. That's what took forever, was just unwinding the cords. You know, you would think it's simple. No, just the way they wound the cords for whatever, it was like they did it on purpose. It's like, if anybody has ever bought one of those big things of like protein stuff, you know, you used to work out.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where the spoon is on the bottom. Okay, the spoon should be up top, but the freaking spoon or whatever is on the bottom. You got to dig through there, and it's like, do they do this just to piss me off? Is that why they do this? That was how I felt about the cords. Okay, I'm like, here's the cords, unwind. No, now it's in a knot. Like, oh man! And even now, even though that was like a year, 2 years ago, it still pisses me off to even thinking about it. Because I mean, it's bad.
We've got the big spoons that we've got all ours connected together on.
Yeah.
I want to get some made, some small ones that just fits the cable that you have. So you have each one as individual. You can hook them all up to the DVR at one time and then just run out whichever way the spool's got to go, you know. The way it is now, we have to go back and hook up another one and then run it back out again.
Yeah.
I want to do it with each individual smaller spool where you hook up all of them. And you can have like one teammate take one and go that way, and one take one and go that way, and one take one and go that way. You set it up, everything up in 10 minutes or less, you know.
Yeah.
That's my plan anyway. That's my story and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah. But I go light. I don't bring a DVR with me. A lot of times, you know, you can definitely catch things on a DVR system, but it's not all the time. And it's like, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, you got to spend the time to get it set up. I mean, as long as you got a well-oiled team, you know, helping you get things set up, you're no problem.
Right.
No time at all. When you're by yourself, or if you're one of those people who you don't want anybody else touching your stuff, like I am, don't. Yeah, it's like, oh, is that your camera? You don't. No, don't
Well,
touch.
that's where I differ, because I want everybody, and I told them before, I want everybody on the team to know how to set that up.
Yeah.
That way, if I can't be there, somebody can set that up. You know, because I'm usually the one that's hooking everything up at the DVR and all that stuff. Dusty, who is our team leader, he's usually the one that's going and setting the cameras up. But if him or I couldn't be there, somebody has to know.
Yeah.
So I'll make sure everybody knows how to do it. That way, no matter who's there, somebody can set that up. You know.
Yeah.
And one of the best pieces of evidence we ever caught was on one of our DVR cameras, actually.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which goes to show it is worth the effort.
Yeah. Now, I know for the TV show, they've caught some pretty cool stuff on the DVR, and I'm quite impressed too with some of the stuff that they had caught. And I wish I could go into a little more detail, but I don't want to spoil the surprises though either. But yeah, they're worth it if you have a team that works good together and you know, does what they need to do. Total nightmare though if it's just you, or you're a control freak and want to just do it by yourself, or you have lazy team members. Forget it. Yeah, then it's a nightmare. But yeah, I set that DVR system back. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that again. It's like, I don't want to. And then when I sent it back, I left them a nice little note about how they had wound the cords. It was a nice, lovely love letter about how they did it. I mean, oh man. But you know, I just go light. You know, you don't have to buy all the fancy stuff. You know, you can effectively do an investigation just with a video camera and a digital recorder.
Yeah.
And that's, you know.
Well, and, you know, I always work with an old school technique, because It was simple back then, but it worked.
Yeah. The team that I was with, it was like 1993 when I got started. Well, yeah, 1993. We didn't have anything spectacular. We didn't even have infrared cameras. We had, big bulky VHS tape video cameras, and there was only a couple of them, and we just set them down in one area, the hot spots, I guess, and just let them go. And we go off and do our own thing with, tape recorders and stuff like that. I really wish that I was able to get my hands on a lot of the stuff that was caught and was able to be shared easy like it is now.
My favorite right there.
Yeah. That's the little mini tape. Yeah. Well, I got the tape itself sitting in my closet. That one I have something cool on there. Yeah. Myself and a friend of mine, we went and investigated this house, and this was in Virginia, Damascus, something like that. But we knew the people. Well, we didn't know the guy personally, but we knew the daughter-in-law and the son. And she's like, "You guys got to go check that out," because the guy he was murdered, he was killed, but he come up missing for a while. Nobody could find him. They ended up finding his body in like a creek not too far from his house. But she kept telling us, "Oh, there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on at the house." So we went, and I used the recorder just like that. And I got something mocking us. I got somebody just randomly, talking. And it sounded like that guy. I let them hear it, and they were like, "Oh, that sounds like your dad." He's like, "Whoa," it's like, it really does sound like my dad. I don't know what his dad sounds like. He does, of course, but, there's nothing wrong with even tape. I mean, just good luck trying to find it now because they're pretty much non-existent anymore.
Yeah.
But with digital, you got the advantage of being able to, now you can put it on your computer and, you do what you need to do to clean it up or share it with everybody rather than having to buy another blank tape and recording into this tape. And then you start losing the sound quality, things like that.
Right.
But,
That sounds bad.
there's nothing wrong with, tape or anything like that. I just, we're in the digital age, so I just stick with digital now.
I like that one. And my philosophy on those is when that motor is running and you're recording, it creates its own white noise effect.
Yep.
And that's why you get more on those usually than you do the digital stuff. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but
no. I mean, you never know. I'm not gonna say no or yes. You never know. I mean, this is the paranormal. We don't know.
And it's all about learning.
Yeah.
Something new. So
everything in this field is pretty much a theory. The only fact is that there is something going on, and that's it. I mean, that's pretty much it. Also, I was watching a past show, and the question was, why do people ask, these spirits, what year it is? You might remember the question, you may not. But I watched the past show, and I thought for a second, yeah, why do we do that? And then it clicked. I'm like, oh, yeah, here's why we do that. Because if you go to a home and you have an intelligent haunt, it may know what year it really is. It may not tell you the year last year it knew. It may tell you, the year as it is right here, right now, because it knows, it's intelligent. And we've had that happen before. Supposedly this is supposed to be like the ghost or spirit or something like that of some lady who died in like the 60s or something like that. And here it was, 1996, I think it was. And we had asked, what year was it? And it told us the year. And then the question was asked, what year did you die? 'Cause we didn't hear, we didn't hear the response, of course, but we asked what year it was. We then asked, what year did you die? And the response was back like 1960 something another. I don't remember what it was. So there's a valid reason to ask those questions.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, well, I don't understand why people would ask that question, because we're looking for, to see if they're intelligent. If they're intelligent to move things or say something or manipulate something, then maybe they know. Maybe if they're listening. And it goes back to, again, the doppelganger that we see. What if I was recording at that point in time? Would I have seen it? Would it have known I was recording?
Right.
What if these things are smart enough to know that we're going in there looking for them with all these equipment, and most of them are just like, yeah, I'm staying out of the way. They're not going to see me. They may very well know. So asking a question like that, it makes perfect sense. They probably know a lot more than we do about what's going on with, I guess, them, you could say. But, that's just one of those questions you ask to see how intelligent they are, to see what they know. A lot of people, like somebody had laughed. They're like, why would you ask who the president is? I'm like, well, why not? I mean, we don't know. Maybe they know. And sure enough, at that point in time, when it was asked, it wasn't asked by me. It was actually asked by another group. But we were talking about that. But, it was asked. And it said Bush. And that person wasn't alive when George Bush 1 or 2 was president. So it really makes you, you got to realize that, wow, these things are a lot more intelligent than what we honestly
So
believe.
what do you think about they can read your mind?
I didn't hear you were breaking up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's whatever it is that's doing this. I don't know what it is. What do you think about spirits being able to read your thoughts?
Okay, that one's kind of scary in a way. I don't think human spirits can. I don't believe human spirits can read a person's thought. I believe something darker can read read a person's thought. I don't.
Let me give you an example, for instance, okay? Why is it that you can see something out of your peripheral?
Mm-hmm.
And you may see a full-fledged apparition out of your peripheral.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a camera in your hand. Now, as soon as you turn with that camera, I don't care how fast you do it, poops are gone.
Yeah.
Now, you can't tell me they didn't know you were fixing to try to film them.
Well, again, it comes back to how intelligent they are. Maybe they know which direction you're at, which direction you're going, and they're like, here I am, and gone before you can even get a chance. It's not like they're reading your thoughts or anything like that. It's like playing hide and seek. It's like somebody trying to get away from the cops. You got the cops trying to chasing somebody, for example, and they're able to outrun the cops or whatever the case may be. To get away from the cops. It's you're just playing hide and seek, pretty much. But I don't believe that that a human spirit can read our minds. That I don't believe. I could be wrong. I'm not going to tell you that that's a fact. It's just that's my opinion.
Well,
My experience.
No matter what we think, your opinion or my opinion, either way don't matter, because we don't know what they can do.
No, we don't.
Now, we do know there's certain things they can do, but we don't know everything they can do. And that's one of the things that makes you think twice when you get in something negative.
Yeah.
Because you don't know exactly what they can and can't do.
So we'll go into the more negative stuff here in just a second, but there was an episode on Ghost Hunters years ago where they were at St. Augustine Lighthouse, and they captured the shadow person. Did you see how fast that thing? I don't know if you watched that episode, but if anybody's seen that episode, that thing moved like lightning.
Yeah, they can move really fast.
So if you're trying to capture, if you see it, and you're trying to capture it, you're not fast enough. We see how fast they move. I mean, I've seen it with my own eyes how fast they move.
The only way that I think that happens is if somebody had a camera already set up and it just flitted by, and you caught it flitting by, and then you're just going to get like a streak.
I don't want to give away too much, but there's going to be an episode where something like that happens on the show.
Yeah, but I mean that's the only way I can see it because they move. There's a house up in Dresden, Tennessee, behind the old jail up there, and there was supposedly a portal, and there was supposed to have been a demon in there, and all this good stuff. I didn't experience any of that, but upstairs in the very back room, when I first walked to the door and looked in there, I saw one. But it went by so fast, all I was seeing was this black streak just going across the back of the room. And that's the only thing that I've seen the whole time I was there, but I know what I saw.
Yeah.
You know, I had a camera, but I don't think, and I even checked to make sure that I didn't actually catch it. But I mean, I didn't have my camera up and like this, you know, because I just walked up the room and I had a camera kind of in my hand, like down like this, you know.
Yeah.
And as soon as I walked in the door, I seen it shoot across there, and I'm like, you know, jerked my camera up, but I mean, there's no way. I know I didn't catch it because, well, I didn't see anything anyway, but it would have just been too fast.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, if you want to go into the more darker side of paranormal, talking about demonic entities and the way they work, it's funny. You know, most of us already know anyways. When it comes to that stuff, it's not what Hollywood makes it out to be.
Right.
It's a psychological thing. The last thing that they want to do is say, hey, I'm here. The only time that happens if it's like an extreme, worst case scenario, very rare situation. But somebody could have something demonic in their life or in their home, wherever they live, doesn't matter. Even in churches. And a lot of people are like, oh, demons wouldn't show up in church. Perfect place for them to show up. They don't want you to know they're there. Why would they want to? Jig's up. Then you got a fight on your hands. So, demonic entities, they work on a completely different level of you know what we can even comprehend. They're smart. They're cunning. They're fast. They're not just a step ahead of us. They're years ahead of us, you know, in terms of what they know is going to happen to us.
Right.
They know what's going to happen to them, and they know what's going to happen to us. But the whole thing is psychological, okay? Even though people say, you know, they got different names and they all have, like, you know, certain ones have like different jobs or whatever. When it comes right down to it, it works the same. It's all the same. They do is a lot, divide and conquer. Divide and conquer. When there is a demonic entity in somebody's marriage, even though they get rid of it, okay, you can get rid of this thing, and a lot of times it's a fight. And I'll get into something else after this. That marriage is going to more than likely end because the damage is done.
Right.
Most marriages do end when there's something like that going on. And for anybody out there who will sit there and tell me that I can get rid of demons and I've done it and all this other stuff, well, good for you. Chances are you probably didn't encounter a demon. And if you did encounter a demon, it really was just there to aggravate. It had no purpose. When one has a purpose, it is a fight. It doesn't go away easy. They never go away easy when they have a purpose. It's a lifelong battle when you have a demonic entity. Even after it's gone, it's still a battle. I always tell people there are no survivors when it comes to demonic things in their lives. There's no survivors. You are simply surviving. because the damage is done. The thought is there. You're forever going to think about that time in that place where it happened. That is an invite. Now you're afraid of it. Now you're allowing it, in your head and mess with you, giving it permission to come back. I was on a little radio show on Blog Talk with a friend of mine, and we probably shouldn't bring up their name, but I will. The Beckers, okay? They were telling us, what was going on and things like that. And he said, well, I honestly believe, well, I don't know if he said it like this, but anyways, it just came to, part demonic, okay? And I had said, I'm surprised you two are still together. I'm surprised you two are married. I think everybody took that the wrong way, because what I meant was anytime now. A few years later, even though they're both up in age, it ended. It's unfortunate, but that's what happens. I mean, it isn't anything to be, you don't seek it, and I believe that only certain people should be the ones involved in getting rid of something like that. I would never. If I go to a home or a location, wherever it is, and it's a demon, oh my God, I don't know. I will not try to get rid of it. I will hand over the evidence and let somebody else get rid of it. I'm not an exterminator. I know my place. And a lot of investigators need to know their place as well. I'm not trying to sound like a jerk. Just, dealing with that kind of thing is not fun. It's destructive. They're not toys. They're not playthings.
Well,
They're not fun and game.
most of your investigators out there aren't trained to handle that kind of situation. They're not a demonologist. They don't know, what they're doing, but they will try anyway. And all they're actually succeeding in doing is stirring things up and making it worse.
And another thing is that they could be falling into the trap of they're the ones that are actually being set up.
Right. Yeah.
They could go in there and they think, well, I got rid of it. Now if it happens again, I can get rid of that. And they go there and maybe they succeed. Or maybe it's like, I'm coming home with you. Guess what?
Yeah.
We're going to have fun. And you have to, any location you go to, I don't care how many people have investigated it. There's a chance. There's always the chance that there is going to be something like that in every location. You don't go in there like Captain Kick-Ass, be demanding, be disrespectful, and think you're doing something positive or doing whatever it is you think you should be doing. You don't go in there and you don't step into their world and disrespect them. Doing so will, at some point in your paranormal career, get you in trouble. Perfect example, Zach Bagans.
Yeah.
Notice he's not much of a provoker anymore.
Right.
He kind of keeps his cool. He doesn't poke the bear, so to speak. Yeah. Apparently something had followed him home. Something handed his ass to him. And that does happen. And there's people out there who think, oh, demons can't kill me. Oh, man, they will.
Well,
do whatever they want to you.
Remember, I know you've seen that commercial probably 1,000 times like I have, with him at the Bobby Mackey standing at the well going, if this is the portal to hell, come up here and get me.
We actually found the portal of hell, and it's actually at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. Kind of an inside joke.
but if you remember that commercial, that's how he used to act.
Yeah. Oh, he's calmed down a lot.
And what about, him buying the house that was supposed to have been demonically possessed and all that stuff and then had it tore down? Because he said it was quote unquote too dangerous for anybody to go in.
I don't know. I was actually thinking about that a couple days ago. Why? There was supposed to be a documentary on the house. There was supposed to be a special on the house. So far, nothing's come of it.
Well, because there is no house.
Well, I mean, before the house was tore down, they went in there, did the investigation, and they were supposed to come, they were supposed to have a special on it and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, Nick's no longer a part of that crew. The house gets demolished, and nobody from that crew is talking about it. So I have to wonder, though, is it a legal issue? Because Nick left. Nick was in a part of that episode. He, gone from Ghost Adventures. I have to wonder if there's a legal issue with that. If, I don't know. I really don't know. But
anyway, that was an example,
yeah.
With that and the Bobby Mackey's thing. That's how he used to be, like, really, that term that I hate, provoking. He used to do that quite a lot.
Yeah. Well,
now you don't see him, which I don't even care to watch it anyway, but now you don't see him doing all that. It's kind of like you said, somebody handed him his ass and he figured I better cool it, or something's really going to hurt me here,
Yeah. And I don't want to go into great detail on this, but I did an investigation. This is while I was in Michigan. And I did an investigation in Wyandotte, Michigan, at a home that had something very nasty in it. And going into it, I did not know. Because a lot of people, and it's not like I'm calling them liars or anything like that, but when something happens to somebody and they don't understand it, they exaggerate. They don't mean to exaggerate, but at that point in time, it scared the hell out of them. So the situation was far worse than what it really was. So what I was being told was going on, I kind of thought, well, maybe it wasn't as bad as, they were saying. I go there, talk to them. They want to join me on the investigation. I'm thinking, why not? They live there. So it's, it's not a big deal. Also, it could maybe have something to do with the two people who wanted to investigate with me. They lived there. So we start the investigation off in the basement. 5 minutes or something like that into the investigation, get growled at. And I looked at the woman, and she looked at me, and I'm like, did you just hear that? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, that was a growl, wasn't it? And she's like, yeah. Heard it plain as day. Barely hear it on my digital recorders. I had my phone recording. I had my a digital recorder going. I had my video camera going. Yeah, barely hear them, but it was loud. What we heard was loud. And when you go back and you listen to them, it's like, I don't hear anything there. So we go out to the middle floor, kitchen, living room, kind of investigate that, do whatever. Nothing really happened until we went upstairs. And it sounded like somebody was walking through a house. Like, it sounded like somebody who weighed a ton walking through the house, through the kitchen, through the living room, then up the stairs. But before all that walking started happening, we heard a door shut. And I thought maybe somebody had come in, because now we're hearing these footsteps. I'm like, somebody's got to be in here. I'm like, no, nobody's in here. There's these bells that are hooked up to the door. So when somebody comes in, these bells, they'll make noise, letting that, hey, somebody walked in. That didn't happen. And in these footsteps, these were loud. It sounded almost like they had purpose. And like, it literally wanted me to know it was there. So I left, and I'm going through all my stuff. And this thing says my ex-wife's name. She was my wife at the time. It says her name. It says my kid's name. It says other things. And I'm like, oh, crap. This ain't good. So I get a hold of somebody else, and they're like, yeah, just go through your evidence and just, watch yourself. So when I asked for a name, I got a name, but I couldn't understand what it was, and I will not repeat its name again. I started having nightmares. It was the same nightmare repeatedly for, I don't know, like a week or something like that. And I knew it was from the house, and I knew I was missing something. And I went back to my computer, turned it on, man, and I went through all that stuff again. I finally figured out its name, and I'm looking, and I'm like, holy crap, everything that they were telling me that was going on, because this thing affected men. It made men go crazy. As soon as I figured out, well, you know, what it was, now, I can't tell you that's exactly what it was because they do lie. They will give you a name of something else, pretending, you know. But anyways, everything that I was seeing that it, you know, this thing was listing as to what it could do, and I went to very many different places too. This is what this thing was doing. I'm like, there's no way. There's no, you know, wow. I mean, like, I don't know if that's who it really was or not, but again, what I researched, what it says it does, and what it was doing, it was a perfect match. And that thing, even though I didn't like go in there to try to get rid of it, I was there to get evidence and get them help. That thing chewed me up. It messed me up bad. And I'm not the kind of person who runs around here and is like, you know, everything's a demon. It's just very rare that I even say that. I don't even really like talking about it too much, but we are talking about it now. It messed me up. And it went after me, not physically, but, you know, it went after me emotionally. I mean, it was insane. And, you know, when you go to reach out and help, or you go to reach out and say something to somebody about it, immediately it's like you are just cut. Like, you are not getting help. They are not going to listen to you. And it's like, wow. You know, I actually stepped away from the paranormal for a couple of years after that. The entire experience was terrible. I ended up a couple months, well, I walked away from it, but I still had an obligation to help this woman. So I got a hold of somebody from Clearwater, Florida, who was willing to, you know, go up there and to get rid of it. So he went up there, did his thing. While he was there, he did, I guess, a blessing on some of the people who live in the house, because one person owns the house, but she's got her kid, and then she got some roommates. One of the girls had a freaking seizure. Had to go to the hospital. He was doing a blessing on her. Was that paranormal? I don't know. I don't know what affected her. I wasn't there. Just kind of weird that she'd go into a seizure and then nobody find anything, and she was fine after that. Whatever. But, you know, he got a hold of me, and he's like, everything that you researched and everything you found, I'm impressed. He's like, because you were dead on. Like, everything. You were dead on. And this thing was gone for a while. Now it's back. I don't know why. Maybe it never went away. Maybe it just kind of hid. These things are not easy to get rid of. Sure, like I said, somebody can go in there and get rid of one, and it could be easy, sure. But if
All
it's
it had to do was go quiet for a while.
what's that?
I said all it had to do was go quiet for a while.
Yeah, and you know, if it goes easy, it's just there to aggravate. If you go in there to try to get rid of it, and it has a purpose, you're in for a long battle. And you know, I've seen people go into homes, try to get rid of something, and it's been nothing, you know, but a fight. Currently, I don't want to say the person's name. I keep all my private stuff, you know, like investigations private. For the past, was it 2 years, I think now, somebody is having a battle, having a fight, trying to get rid of something. This thing won't go away. She moved, and it's like it just goes. And it doesn't, I mean, like, I don't understand. I don't understand, you know, why it's picking on her. She's a Baptist, single mom, has kids, and this thing, you know, it's not like she's purposely inviting it or accidentally inviting it back in life. This thing just doesn't want to leave. We don't really understand completely why it's messing with her, but it has a purpose. It has a reason to go after her.
So if she moves, it goes wherever she goes.
Yeah, we even, somebody else who was involved was like, she has money, she's got a great job. We're like, dude, just sell your house with all the stuff, leave everything behind, start all over again. Just try that. No. Nothing. I mean, like, no matter what. And the church she goes to, they actually won't really help her. They're like, oh, just keep praying, and if God wants it to go away, it'll go away. And it's like, no, you get somebody there to help. You don't just, if God wants it to go away, no, somebody has to help. Somebody has to be there, to help get rid of it. So she's going through a Catholic. I can't remember it's a Catholic church of some kind. I can't remember what it is. And they've been helping her, and they've been helping her for 2 years. And it was funny because at first they thought maybe she was crazy. They thought I was crazy looking for like a TV show or something like that. And I'm like, no, here you go. Here's everything you need to know. Nothing's been cut. Nothing's been edited. These are the actual cards that were used and the camera and the digital recorder. Have fun. About a week later, they were there. Hey, we're here. Let's help. And it just, for whatever reason, it won't go away. It's going to be a fight. And now, here recently, it says it's starting to mess with her daughter. And even when she goes to stay with her grandparents, she likes to show up at the grandparents' house now. But it's not doing anything physically or anything like that. It's just like, hi, I'm here. But it seems to be just targeting the mother. Nobody knows why. I know we're missing something. What it is, I don't know. But I'm not directly involved in that anymore. Realize what was going on. I handled it. I'm like, good luck. But she tells me, she'll say, hey, here's what's going on. I'm like, geez. And then somebody else involved, they'll let me know what's going on too. Don't know. It's there. It doesn't want to go anywhere. Eventually it will leave. But when that will be, I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, to go back into what kind of entity are you dealing with here? Is it demonic, or is it Native American based, or whatever? Because certain things that you do, you have to use the faith that they understand.
This is 100% demonic. And that's the truth. It is 100% without a doubt.
Catholic priests could not get rid of it.
No, they can't. I mean, it doesn't matter. Nobody can seem to get. I mean, and that's what I'm saying though, is that you can have these priests, you can have people go in there and try to get rid of it. It's a true demonic entity with a purpose. It is going to be a fight. And it could be, the fight could last, a week, 2 years. It could be a lifelong battle. And there are reports of people who, for many, many years have a lifelong battle trying to get rid of something demonic. If they have a purpose, unfortunately, they're not going anywhere. I mean, they've tried different, priests and things like that. And there's a reason why it's there. Now, she's gotten herself, even though she's Baptist, she's gotten more involved with the Catholic Church. And she's trying, what is it? get into dang it. I want to say demonology. It's not quite demonology, but it's close to it. I can't remember what they call it. Now she's wanting to get into that so she can help other people, but she can't help anybody. She's got that going on.
Right.
And see, that's just it. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's something that she's supposed to do. Maybe that's something that she's supposed to be good at doing. And maybe that's why it's there. And that's its purpose is to derail that. We don't know.
Possibility. What is that?
What is what?
You don't hear it?
I don't hear anything.
It's like certain times when I talk, it sounds like a demonic voice, like.
Well, I can tell you where I live at. I live in a high rise, okay? And this place was actually really for old people to go to. There are still a few old folks here left, and now they're bringing in, because they're opening it up, to hell, let just about anybody live here instead of it being a place for old folks. So there have been a lot of old people who have died. And the guy who lived in this apartment. This is a studio apartment. The guy who lived here before me actually died in my apartment from cancer, I think lung cancer. And we get some weird things from time to time. So, I don't know.
Anyway, our time is up, so we may have to continue this at another date.
Yep. Yeah, let's do that. I've been having one of those off days because I've had a lot of work to do, and I've been out trying to hang out with my girlfriend, trying to do the TV show, and then I got some stuff going on with my son and his health. So yeah, so my mind, it was very hard for me to actually focus and concentrate.
But we've enjoyed having you. It's been a good show, a lot of interesting stuff, and we hope that you'll come back and join us again at a later date, and we'll see what things are going on from there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because like I said, my brain's been all over the place. Having a lot of stuff going on, especially with my son. So, but yeah, I'll definitely come back, and I'll be definitely at the top of my game.
Man, I've still got that, whatever that voice is coming in on top of me, and it sounds like a little gravelly voice, like.
I don't know what that. Maybe what you're hearing is from the laptop, my laptop. Like maybe you're hearing sort of your voice, but it's coming through different. Sometimes that happens. Next time I'll put headphones in and a microphone, and maybe that'll cut that.
And normally I don't have nothing. I don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
Anyway, having said that, everybody in the chat room, thank you so much, y'all, for coming. Everybody out there who wasn't chatting but was listening and watching, we appreciate it. Couldn't have a show without you. Joe, sir, thank you so much for coming on with us.
Thank you.
And if you have any links you want to put out to everybody, now'd be a good time to do that before we shut her down.
Yeah, go check out the Phantasmic Ghost Hunters on Facebook and their website. It's just, the phantasmicghosthunters.com. The Paranormal Journey Into the Unknown, they got a Facebook page. Go check that out too. My Facebook page is actually Truth Paranormal. There's another one out there. It is mine. That's called Truth Paranormal 2. I don't use that one. Just go to Truth Paranormal. I got a bunch of stuff there. And, that's pretty much it.
All right. Good night, everybody. We'll see y'all on April the 2nd. And if everything works like it's supposed to, not sure on that yet, we'll have Mr. William Whitecrow back with us. So, and he is really a great guy. So hopefully we'll see everybody then. Good night, everybody.
Good night.